Hello. Well, today was the first day that I went out. If you watched my last video, I said I was going to go and try to cover all the secondhand stores in the city, across the city, or as many as I could over the next few weeks while I have time. And so today was the first day that I really went out. And I kind of had that kind of idea came to me. What I'm going to do in 2025 is I'm going to write down every CD that I buy, how much it cost and where I bought it. And so then at the end of the year, I can tally up how much I spent on CDs. This won't be the official list, but just as an idea. So on what's the third, on Friday, the 3rd of January, see how in New Zealand we do the date and the month. In America, you do it reverse, month/date/year. Anyway, 3rd of January, I went to Salvation Army. Let's just abbreviate. Salve Arm and Hospice Shop. Both were in Birkenhead, so I'll say BH. And at the hospice shop, I got nothing. But at the Salvation Army, that's where I got, was it Mr. Scruff and that British indie compilation, which they were $1 each. I said, this is not the official list because this is a fucking mess. And then today, again, I went out. Today's Monday the 6th of January, and I went to SPCA shop. These are all charity shops, secondhand charity shops. SPCA, Red Cross, it's a church one, St. Mary's. I can't remember. Let's just say St. Mary's. It's not St. Mary's. It's Saint something else. St. Barnabas or something. Hospice and St. John's. These were all in an area that, again, this is not really important to you, but they were in an area called Browns Bay, so I'll say BB. Then I went up to another Salvation Army shop in Torbay, and then I finished off at an SPCA shop in Wairau Park. And I got, after visiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shops, I got zero, nothing. Not to say there wasn't anything okay-ish, but almost everything I saw I already had or had a version of. There was actually a few kind of things that if it would have been a couple of years earlier, I would have been able to pick them up. The one thing that I saw that I'd been looking for years and only just bought it last year, you might have seen on one of those Facebook pages, was Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream. They had it here at the Salvation Army store in Torbay for $3. I bought it on Facebook for $5 about 3 or 4 months ago. You might remember, after looking for it secondhand for about 5 years before that. But anyway, so I found nothing today, and that is fairly typical, it seems, nowadays. Things just aren't. I've talked about this before. There are so many reasons why that maybe the hobby is picked up a little bit more, and so there's more people out there picking through the stacks, or maybe it's that my collection is already fairly comprehensive, and so therefore it's harder to find the things that I need to fill in the spaces. There were some things there that if I was in a certain mood, I may have bought, but I wasn't really in the buying mood. The buying mood means maybe things that I'm really kind of 50-50, or maybe not even 50-50, maybe more like 60, I don't want it, 40, maybe I do want it. And if I'm in a buying mood, I'll buy it. But I really haven't been in that mood much at all recently. There was one box set of 10 1990s New Age music, which I've talked about before. I kind of have a sub-collection of. And I was kind of on the fence, but $10, I thought, well, I don't want to spend $10 on something that I don't absolutely want. It's almost kind of like, those things I really only buy if they're super cheap, like 50 cents. So interestingly, that last shop, the SPCA shop, that's a new SPCA. SPCA, if you don't know, it's a charity for the Society Protection of Cruelty to Animals. And they opened a relatively new shop down nearish, about 10 minutes from where I live, in an area called Wairau Park, or Wairau Valley. And this is bizarre. They have two little sections of CDs. One section is just your typical $1 to $2 crap. Mostly classical compilations, opera compilations, stuff, you find everywhere. Like I've said before, Susan Boyle, Robbie Williams, Kamal. Then they had another little shelf that someone obviously who knows about music had made up. And it was, for example, they had a Genesis box set, the definitive collection. It's a 3 CD set. They had a Norma Jean album, the hardcore metalcore band. They had a Till Lindemann solo album. They had the Lost Highway soundtrack, the David Lynch movie by Trent Reznor. They had some stuff by Mudvayne, a couple of Mudvayne albums, not LD50, some newer ones that I wasn't familiar with. They had some other kind of, that's the stuff that I remember. And the shit was priced at $10 to $20. This is a charity secondhand, what we in New Zealand call an op shop. The idea of finding a CD for $10 to $20 in an op shop is unheard of. And some ways I can understand it, because like I said, the person who had priced this stuff and had kind of sequestered into its own little area obviously knew about music, or obviously researched online and seen that these things are not typical, these things are more sought after and rarer, etc. But at the same time, if I want to spend that kind of money, I'm not going to an op shop, to a secondhand shop, to a charity shop. Because why would you don't just go to secondhand shops with the idea that you're going to be looking at that price range of things. Do you know what I mean? If you go to a secondhand shop and you find by chance a hidden gem like a $1 album by one of those bands I just mentioned. I found actually a Norma Jean album or a Converge album for $1 before. That's happened to me. But it's so rare. It's like it's the kind of thing that happens once a year or once every 2 years. If that. No one's going specifically to find that kind of stuff and then expecting to pay $10 to $20. So I think as a sales tactic or a market, whatever you want to call it, I can't see it working. Because music people aren't randomly coming into op shops to find that kind of stuff. If they want to find that stuff, they're going to specialized music shops, or they're looking on the Facebook groups or in Discogs, or ordering, online from distributors or Amazon or whatever. So I just can't see them ever moving that kind of stock. I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I don't think I am. Because those kinds of prices are more than, probably maybe later this week, I'm going to be going over to the Central City to Real Groovy Records, which is talked about many, many times before as the last remaining, well, not the last remaining, there are a few others, but the biggest and most famous last remaining physical music store in Auckland City that sells CDs and records, new and used. And if I was going there, say if I really like Norma Jean and I wanted to find a Norma Jean album, I would go to Real Groovy probably. If I was thinking, well, if there's one shop that might have it, that would be it. And I would be expecting to pay, if it was secondhand, I'd expect to pay about $12. And if it's new, I'd expect to pay around $20, maybe $24. And they're pricing the same at a secondhand shop, in the same kind of range, $10 to $20 for a used CD in a completely, it's not like a known place, a location for people looking for that kind of music, if you know what I mean. So it's just kind of, it's shocking. I was like shocked to see $10. Because the first one I looked at was Norma Jean, because I like Norma Jean. Well, I like some of their stuff. I think, was it Hive? I can't remember the name of the album. But anyway, there's a few of the albums and a few of the songs that I do like. And so I saw the the spine of it, and I was like, oh shit, Norma Jean, pulled it out, $10. I was like, $10 is not that much, I understand, but in that context of a second-hand charity shop, it is a lot. It's stupid money. They had a few other things. There was a couple of things there. I can't remember. I just kind of named the ones that came to mind. But there were a few other things. Certainly there was some good stuff there. But it's not good as in, I've been looking for this. It's just good as in, wow, they have this band in a second-hand shop. Wow, that's rare. So yeah. So the list will continue. So far, I've got 2 CDs after visiting 9 shops and spent a total of $2. Oh, god damn it! I just kicked my ankle on the table. Just to kind of show something, so that I'm not going just talking about nothing to do with CDs. This is a CD I grabbed off my shelf from the C section, and you can see this is clannad. What is it? Oh, past, present. I don't know, see that says past, as you can. And this is kind of like a greatest hits collection, at the time at least. I don't know where this was from. You can see it says HMV Hit Picks. HMV hasn't existed in New Zealand for a good 34 years. I think it was around 1990 that you saw the HMV brand disappear in New Zealand, and it was taken over by another brand, which I can't remember off the top of my head which one, because I was very young at the time. But I remember the late 80s, you used to see HMV stores with the dog looking at the gramophone was the label, with the symbol, logo, whatever you call it. But that, like I said, by the very early 90s, it had been bought out or rebranded as something else, which, like I said, I can't remember. But this was bought, but that could be HMV in another country. Because you do find a lot of CDs in New Zealand that have been bought overseas and then someone brought them here, maybe when they immigrated or whatever. It says made in Australia, or maybe that's HMV in Australia. Chart climber at the time, apparently. Now, clannad, if you don't know, are an Irish, or were, don't know if they still exist, Irish kind of use elements of traditional, old, not, when I say traditional, I don't mean like Irish music as in like a fiddle and a jig and, like the chieftains or the Dubliners or things like that. I mean more old Irish. Kind of, they sing in Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, and they are much more kind of atmospheric and moody and kind of like pagan era, or medieval, like kind of pre-Christian. I don't know when Christianity made it to Ireland. It must have been pretty early. But pre-Christian Ireland. If you've been to Ireland, you know that there are kind of pre-Christian archaeological sites. I remember when I was a kid, we went to one of them. What was it called? It was like this. I don't think like a earthen mound, like this big dome, but it had kind of like a brick wall, and then you could walk inside it, and like Stonehenge, once or twice a year, the sun exactly lined up at a particular time and shone through the entrance shaft down this long tunnel, and around the site there were like these, what do you call, like these stone tablets with carvings in them. Very, very like ancient old stuff. I think it was pre-Stonehenge time that this was made. Anyway, that kind of reminds me of clannad. Enya was in the band at one time, and I think some of the other members are her brothers. I don't know the exact makeup. Let's have a look. Does it say the members? clannad, oh, here we go. clannad are Marie Brennan. Is that? No. Okay, maybe Enya left very early. I might be wrong. Maybe Enya wasn't, but from my memory, Enya was in the band at one stage, and then she left to go solo. And the rest, maybe Brennan, the Brennan guys are her, because that looks like her sister. I guess that's Marie Brennan. And there's Karen, I think it's Karen, how you pronounce Karen, Pole, and then the Dugan. Her name is definitely not Dugan or Duggan. Try to see if there's any mention of her in the vocals. C. Brennan. No. Maybe it says that somewhere here. I actually want to check that, because that face, it looks like her, but that could be Marie. That could be her sister. And maybe they've got similar eyes, and that's why I think that they look the same. I'll show me doing it, so it's a little bit more interesting than me just talking. Clan. Okay, I've got to look at the screen. clannad. Why is it fucking animated series? Why would that ban? Maybe Enya's a stage name. Maybe her name's Marie. Past members, Enya. Okay, so she was in the band. And look, Patrick and Noel are both deceased. I'm trying to see if it says here when Enya took off. The Brennan family, let's say members. Okay, so Enya, she was only in there for 2 years. I think she did on theme from Harry's Game. I think she did the vocals on that, and that's why I associate it with her. But if she's only in it for 2 years, whereas Patrick was in it for 46 years, as were the rest of the members. Moya. Oh look, in this it says Marie, but here she's using the Gaelic Moya. Hang on, let's go over here and open the oven because I'm cooking something whilst I'm talking to you. So they'll be okay for a little bit longer. Yo. Oh damn it, it's hot. Sorry, that's not very professional, but I'm not professional, so. But yeah, theme from Harry's Game is probably maybe their most well-known song, and it's quite beautiful and recognizable and being used in many compilations and like kind of moods type music. It uses Gaelic Irish language, and it's very, again, like I used those words before, atmospheric and moody. It's like that. It kind of comes in like this kind of dark, and then the vocals are like really beautiful and kind of mystical. And then they, in the kind of chorus part, they do this kind of harmony with Enya and the other members, and it is really beautiful. Newgrange, that's what I'm talking about. That's it. Newgrange, that thing I was just talking about, the in Ireland when I went there as a kid, the dome with the light shaft and the relics and stuff. Older. That's what it was called. That I just saw the name, and that's Newgrange. So it was kind of like an hour outside Dublin, and I'm not really describing it. Imagine like a huge big circle, and they built like a circle stone wall, about 4 or 5 foot high, and then on top of that it was kind of like an earthen dome, like it was grass and stuff, and then there was like a door at the front. This is this massive thing. It's huge, at least in my memory it was. And you could walk into it, like, in the pyramids, you can kind of walk down tunnels into that. It was like that. That's quite funny, isn't it? The other one I know, Robin the Hooded Man. Robin the Hooded Man. When I was a kid in the 1980s, there used to be a TV show called Robin of Sherwood, I believe. Might be saying on here somewhere. I can't see it. Anyway, it was a British production, and it was much more, like I've heard it described as kind of gritty and realistic, and none of the kind of like Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood, like that's kind of much more kind of fairy tale-ish. This was much more or how you imagine it might be. Kind of, there were elements of kind of mysticism, like sorcery and stuff like that, but kind of in a realistic way, if you know what I mean. My brothers especially loved that show. I don't remember being that hot on it, but I remember one of my older brothers and my younger brother both loved that show. It used to be on Saturday nights in New Zealand, and our parents used to let us record it on videotape, and then would watch it on Sunday morning. Anyway, the opening theme of that was the clannad song, Robin brackets the Hooded Man. So that came in 85. Lady Marian, that might also be taken from that series, meaning Maid Marian, Robin Hood's girlfriend. But yeah, I haven't listened to this a whole lot, to be honest, but I have listened to it a few, 3 times, and I think they're an interesting band with interesting sound, quite unique. I think quite influential as well in that kind of world music, new agey scene, because these guys have been around since the 70s, although it sounds like in the early part of their career they weren't the same sound as they were in the 80s. But certainly in the 80s you could say they had some influence on stuff that came later in the 90s. And then Enya, of course, went on to become a global megastar with all her carry on. So anyway, just thought I'd show that as just to say here's a CD, so I'm not just talking about things that aren't CDs. They don't feature Enya at all in any of the pictures, maybe because she was only in the band for 2 years. This came out in 89. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.